Hey Forrest, this is Michelle Labus, and I want to give you an update for February 26th council meeting. Wessler was in, so if you remember the last time they were here, they had the statement of qualifications which they had to send out, and of course Wessler comes back and are qualified, and then council is going with them as far as continuing the process. So the next steps are surveying, owner coordination, and permitting, right, and design. So there's going to be 3 contracts, because if you remember, you have a couple different situations. You have one where the lagoons are absolutely full and have to be dredged. Then you're going to have another contract where they aerate the lagoons and put in improvements. And then the third is the air vac system. So the lagoons are the only ones that are mandated by the EPA, and so you have a timeline for doing that. And the lagoon clean out and aeration, if I remember, is going to be $3 to $4 million. It's pretty expensive to go in and dredge out those lagoons. Then you have to take the product that they're dredging out of there, and it sounds like they're going to try and find farming land that they can spread that on, because it's a lot cheaper. So you kind of spread it all out on open land, it'll dry out, and then you're able to process it or get rid of it. Otherwise you have to send it to and pay for a processing plant to then process that sludge, is what I remember. So that's going to be all decided as the process goes on. The lagoon aeration is to make your lagoons functional, right? So the bacteria has to have air in there. And then, we'd have to go back and look at some of the other videos, but they have some improvements on how to connect them and different things so that they work more efficiently. They kind of have a phase-in process rather than it just kind of being dumped in and overflowing to the other one, and so making that more efficient so that it doesn't get backed up maybe quite as quickly. But they always require maintenance. You need to be doing the maintenance on them. Okay, so that's all stuff that's going to be moving forward. I don't know if they have a timeline. There's some other things that have to happen before they get started on that. But now the collection system, which is the thing that everybody's worried about, is the gravity system. I don't know. I know you guys got a really high score for your grants, but I don't know if the grant money came in or is looking as good as what they had hoped. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, right? So the funding hasn't really come in as of yet. I think the deadline is more towards August. And so there's still time. The thing is, kind of as a community, you have to decide, like, are we going to move forward with gravity, which there's just no other long-term feasible option that is going to be as cost effective. Even though it sounds pretty expensive right now, it's right at like $24 million. And that's for the whole thing. You're not putting the whole thing in at once. It's going to be phased in. So lagoons are phase 1, and then collection system will be after that. And what they're thinking about is you kind of replace, when you come to the gravity system, they're going to design the whole thing, right? So it's like, okay, here is a gravity system for forest, but you're only going to replace the worst of the worst. So whichever line, I think you guys have 3 main vac lines, they're going to replace the very worst one so that you take care of as much problem as you can. And then that eases up the workload that the other 2 lines have to sustain, right? So if you take a bunch of houses off and you can keep with the vac system, you're not going to have as many houses, many lines, lift stations to take care of, so that's going to reduce cost. There's not going to be as much flowing through there, so that's going to ease up on maintenance. And I know the crew there are all the way now trained. I mean, they can even do water main leak repairs now in-house, which is fantastic. So good job to Jay and his crew. So you know, you're getting yourself in a better situation even if you can't do all of it all at once. So that's the main goal, kind of a step process. The other nice thing is that when you do the design up front, that's all going to be paid for. So when you come to do phase 2 and 3, you're all ready to go. You don't have to go through that process again. You can just have your things and apply for more grants. Now, let's talk about the grant money. They're going after the, there's a Ohio grant, I believe, that's $4 million cap. And so the lagoons, oh, they said the lagoons are 8 million, maybe it's 3 to 4 millions a piece. So I have 8 million here for that. It's been too long since I was at the meeting. But you got a $4 million gap for the grant money. And so, you know, you're going to try for that one. They're also going to go out after some federal grants also. So schedule, design will be done in March of 27. The bids will go out in August, and then that will be ready for when they award the grant money. And so that's when you're going to figure out, you know, are you getting a principal forgiveness, which is your grants, or if you're getting a 0% loan, whatever it may be. So we still got a while before that all happens. There are some things that aren't included, right? So this is the village response. You need to get a geotech consultant, which is going to be $120,000. They're going to do soil boring. They're going to do some collections for the gravity system and for the lagoon. So they have to come in. That's going to tell you how to design the system, because you're going to figure out what kind of soil you have. You're going to need a realty specialist to handle easements and land acquisitions if it's needed. I think they said there was maybe 2 places they were going to have to get some land, and the easements I have 18 written here, but some of those may already be in place. And so until you start getting into it, you don't know what's going to be needed or not. Lagoon testing. So once they get through that process, they'll have that ready. And then the right of entry permits, so that when people are out doing the work, they can go on the property, because some of these pits and stuff are actually on property, like behind fences and things. So they have to be able to do those. So overall, it's moving forward, and it's going to be what it's going to be. But I think Forest is ready to have their toilets flushing and be in a much better long-term situation, so that 50 years down the road, they're not, you know, the people living in Forest aren't griping about us 50 years later, but that they're praising and saying, hey, Forest has done the right thing and got the gravity. We just don't know what the cost is going to be. All right, that's the Wessler update for Forest. See ya.